it's time for the Cougar-Licious Cub House one more time. Hey, I want to thank everybody, first of all, who has subscribed to this channel. I so appreciate your subscriptions. And every week we're going to be having so much fun with some delightful guests. And today we do have some great guests. We have two comics that are very well known along the Las Vegas Strip. We have Jennifer DiGiulio and we have J. So, but before we get started with that, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our sponsor for today's show, which is Linder Healthcare. It's a skincare line that I have been using for several years now. Absolutely love it, and I think you would too. So be sure to visit them. So let's get started, and I'm going to start with our Cougar-Licious guest. Jennifer DiGiulio.
Good morning, Las Vegas and the rest of the world.
Good
Hope
morning.
all is well.
Jennifer, I want you basically, start out and tell us, where are you from? How did you get started in comedy?
Oh, okay.
And you have such an incredible background. We've been discussing this too. How did you get from, you worked in construction?
Yeah.
How'd you get from construction to comedy?
I'm actually a product of COVID. What happened is in 2020, I have a little company that I can work from anywhere, and I was working from home because there's no work anywhere else, doing my little side job, and I had a really bad scare, a health scare, and got a blood clot in my lung and almost died.
Oh my goodness.
And when that happens, you find yourself reflecting a lot on the things that you have and haven't done in your life that you've wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And ever since I was an 18, 19-year-old kid, not only have I always wanted to do comedy, my mother has nagged me to the point to tears, telling people she's wasting her talent, she needs to be a comedian, and I'm like, you're my mom, you're biased, but nonetheless. And so in 2020, I just decided one day I'm just going to start using social media to reach out and make connections and find out from comedians that have been doing it, tips and tricks of how to get into it. And I found a Zoom comedy show being hosted by a comedian named Dat Fan, who won the
yes,
original.
I know Dat very well. Yes.
Shout out to Dat Fan. He gave me my first shot.
Shout out Dat Fan. Maybe we'll have you on the show sometime.
Yeah. He was hosting COVID comedy shows where you could do stand-up from home, and it was with a bunch of other comedians all over the world, and you could invite any friends and family or whoever and put it on your Facebook, and people could log in and watch. It was a little hard because a lot of people didn't understand time zones, and it was mostly my guests, which I felt terrible. They would log in at all the wrong times when the show wasn't on and be like, what's happening? And it turned out it was just because they didn't understand, like, East Coast and Pacific are different time. But nonetheless, he gave me my first shot.
How fun.
And I asked another really good comedian, Don Barnhart. Thank you, Don, for Don Barnhart. Thank you. He's like a Las Vegas comedian guru. He gave me, I read his book, and then I started asking him questions, and he actually gave me my first live performance stand-up.
Yes.
And I went out and did a little 5-minute set or 15-minute set, and I was very excited. I was really worried I wouldn't be able to do it because up till then I had just been doing 5 to 7-minute sets. And I was really lucky. Don said I need an opener for 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'll just do two of my 7 different sets and I'm just going to wing it. And so I went up and I did well, and so ever since then I just go around at, hey, you need someone, you need help.
That's how I met Don as well. Yeah. I was actually in San Diego, and I was getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was looking to do was, I said, well, maybe I'll learn how to write comedy, because in my past life I was in advertising copywriter. Right. So I figured, well, creative writing, comedy writing, that would be kind of fun thing to do. And I went online and I found this little link online in Las Vegas. I went to Las Vegas. I go, let's see, do you think maybe Las Vegas might have some comedy clubs? Yeah, maybe. The whole, whole website just blew up. And I found this little teeny tiny link for the Comedy Writing Institute. And Don at that time was holding classes. So I started doing a little bit of my research, and I contacted him. He responded immediately. And just from his response to my questions, and in taking a look at what he was doing, I said, Las Vegas, that's where I want to go. And that's what I did. I sold everything and just hopped the fence and came to Las Vegas and started taking his classes.
That's awesome.
So Don.
Yes. Delirious Comedy Club.
Delirious Comedy Club,
on the
yes.
Las Vegas Strip. Go see him. He's the best.
And maybe we'll get you on this show someday, Don, too. That would be great. So anyway, so
when I started doing it, I feel like I got a little bit of a pass, because most people, their first time up, they're in a club somewhere, it's smoky, people are not impressed, they don't want to hear what you have to say.
It's tough.
It's tough when you first start out, because who are you and why are you trying to make me laugh?
Right.
And then I kind of got a pass in that, because I was able to start comedy from the comfort of my home. But it was nice because it also gave me an opportunity to write on the fly, because I could make notes while I was doing the stand-up.
You are a very good writer.
Yeah, and so
Jennifer.
That's my big thing that I really love, is I said I just want to make people laugh. I don't want to be political. I don't want to make statements. I don't want to. I'm just here to make people laugh and point out the silliness in the world. And
yes, but you have that comedic perspective.
Yeah,
and this is what I always noticed about your work as well. It's one thing I always appreciated about your work, is that it has a very interesting perspective. It has a perspective that has a little bit of a twist, that you basically are looking at the truth, but in a funny way.
Yeah,
and that's what makes.
I think that's important. I try to pull from my real life, with 4 kids and growing up.
Unbelievable. 4 children.
Yeah, I have 4. 3 of them are grown. I can't take total credit at this point. They're doing it on their own. But with 4 kids, and I grew up in a family with 5 kids. In
now, was
Idaho.
That here in
Idaho? And so I grew up in farm country in Idaho. Moved here when I was a teenager, and then when I moved here as a teenager, we lived in a little apartment, and just over the years built up. And so now I've been here 35 years.
35 years.
And raised all my kids here, and it's been quite the experience. But I can tell you, construction was very helpful when it came to comedy, because you have to be quick-witted in construction too, because everybody's always talking and running their mouth.
Well, from the sounds of it, you always have all these moving parts that you have to put together in one cohesive.
Well, especially
method.
As a woman in construction, you have to be able to hold your own.
Yes.
I'll just say that.
Yes, and we were talking about that story where you made one of your foremen cry, but we won't get into too much detail on that, but she knows her stuff,
I did
everyone.
make a union electrician cry once.
And that was her first day on the job.
Yeah. At the end, they were all out of there. They're like, "We're not dealing with you anymore." But
what are your plans in the future? What do you?
I'm actually looking to write a lot more and get into the podcast area a lot more. I feel like the kind of comedy that I do, it's much more of a storytelling, observational type of comedy. So I'd really like to take that and present it in much more of a podcast setting, because a lot of times I can only tell a piece of a story, and the whole story is very interesting.
Yes,
I've had a lot of things. I spent my summers on the coast in Southern California. I have tons of stories about that. Farm country in Idaho. Then growing up as a teenager in Las Vegas, boy, do I have stories. And raising a family here, because it's a different scenario here than it is a lot of places raising kids. You have to teach them different things that just aren't an issue in middle America, because it is a big city.
Especially since you can, not every state you can go into the grocery store and pull a slot machine. That was the one major difference. And I was actually taking pictures. When I would go to the grocery stores, I took pictures of the slot machines, and I'd send it off to my friends. I know I'm in Vegas. I know I'm in Vegas. And another thing that I realized I was in Vegas is that all the women wear eyelashes. They all have false eyelashes. And I'm notorious.
I can't do it.
I'm notorious for the eyelashes. And I went, I found my people.
Yeah. I have yet to accomplish getting. I have to have someone else do it. If
I'll
I
show
put the
you how to do
eyelashes on, it gets stuck to my eye,
Yep.
and one of my eyes is closed, one's open, or they're crooked.
Yeah, I'll
and
show
so
you.
after a while, it's like I'm just not.
I'll show you
yeah.
a secret after
I'll
the
have to.
show.
Yeah, you'll have to show me
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that you are a great representation of what I like to consider being Cougar-Licious, because a Cougar-Licious woman is a woman who stands in her own power, celebrates the divine diva, and enjoys a little eye candy. Yeah. And so on that note, I want to direct a little bit to our guest here, our eye candy guest for the day, Mr. Jerome Dabney, otherwise known as J-Dab in the circuits.
Hello,
Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. It's great to be in the Cub House.
That's right.
I love it.
Between
Cougar-Licious Cub House.
beautiful Cougar-Licious ladies.
That's right. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, J-Dab. Where are you from? I know you have a vast career in entertainment, so I'm just going to let you take the stage.
Well, I'm from the Midwest. Basically, I'm born in St. Louis, raised in Indiana, lived in Kansas, went to school in Kansas, lived in Oklahoma, so the Midwest. But the West was calling my name for so long, and in 1999, I came out to Las Vegas to be an entertainer. My former career before comedy was as a singer.
Oh, I think we had. Did you send a Rick? Can you show us that? There you go. Is that one of the tributes?
That was the first group that I worked with here in Las Vegas at Legends in Concert. Tribute, a salute to the Temptations, and we did all Temptation music. And
yes.
It was an absolute delight and joy.
Nothing like the Temptations. I saw a show in San Diego that was a Temptation show,
Right.
and I think there was one original Temptation in the whole performance.
Right.
But I was absolutely thrilled. I actually stood up in the audience and I did the Temptation walk with the Temptation, and I thought that was it. I could die and go to heaven. You know, I love the Temptations.
well, the Temptations are the best. Oh, the best.
Yes.
That's real music.
They defined a generation for sure.
They say when music was music.
That's right. When music was music.
That's right.
So,
And I really enjoyed working with the tribute group. It was a lot of fun. As I said, we did Legends in Concert. Then we ended up doing a lot of international shows in Japan and China and South America and Brazil. And
boy, that really got you out of the Midwest. You went out of the Midwest and into the world.
Yes, we had a 15-city tour in Europe as well, and it was a lot of fun. Well received everywhere we went. That was the thing, a lot of international folks in different countries, they like old school music. They really, really do. They know all the songs, know all the lyrics. So it was a lot of fun.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I mean, really, how universal music is. It really translates into any language. It's just the sound and the feeling.
Right.
That it just kind of breaks all barriers, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's wonderful. Prior to coming to Las Vegas, I was working in the cruise industry.
Ooh, the cruise industry.
Yeah, so I had quite a bit of travel before I got here to Las Vegas, and someone saw me on a ship from Las Vegas because I used to do a tribute show to Stevie Wonder. Right, and they said, you have to come to Vegas because we have great tribute shows there, and that's how I ended up in Vegas. I didn't end up doing. Well, I did.
And when was this? When did you move to
This
Vegas?
was in '99.
In 99.
In 1999, yeah, and we went into Legends in Concert in 2000, and I did a few jobs for Legends in Concert as Stevie, and that was a lot of fun because I really loved doing Stevie. It was so much fun.
I've never seen you do Stevie Wonder.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. I don't do it anymore, but I really enjoy it.
And you're currently performing too, right?
Yes, currently performing. I'm actually the resident host here in town at a show called Motown Extreme.
Motown Extreme.
Yes,
All right.
This is Las Vegas's #1 Motown review, and they performed in all the theaters on the Strip, and they became very, very popular to the point where they were able to move into their own theater.
Oh, that's great.
So it's a show
yes.
that's-
I saw. I think you were on the news recently, right?
Yes, Channel 13. They did a spot, and it's a family situation. It's a mom and dad and 3 sons, and a few other cast members. and it's all Temptations. Well, not all Temptations, it's all Motown.
All Motown.
Yeah,
Motown.
Tops
Motown
and
sound.
Gladys
Yes.
Knight. As a matter of fact, one of the members is Gladys Knight's nephew, Bubba Knight the third.
Awesome.
Yeah, his
And
dad.
she lives here in town.
Yes, she
All right,
does.
well, maybe
yeah.
we'll get you, Gladys, on
Yes,
the.
yes, yes.
Oh, that would
I'd
be
love
amazing.
to get you on
If you need a
Cougar-Licious
guest
Cub
on that
House.
one, let me
Yes.
know. I'd love to meet you.
Yes.
A lot of fun.
And so, how did you move? Because I know you do stand up as well in
Right,
town.
right,
So, how did
right.
you move from being a singer performer to stand up comedy?
Well, they started laughing at my singing, so I thought, well, I better investigate. So, no, actually, what happened? As a singer, you have what you call patter in between your songs, and a lot of singers, they choose different, lanes for patter. Some choose historical information, personal life stories, and I always chose comedy. I would put comedic bits in between my songs and make, laugh with the audience and have fun. And
Isn't that the best?
It is,
Yeah.
especially when you see that they're engaged like that. It's so fun that you can have a banter with them
that's great.
and go back and forth, and it makes them feel more connected to you when you're performing and singing, because now they feel like they've gotten a little piece of you, and so they feel personally invested in your performance.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. They are there to have a good time, and you're enjoying the time with them. I mean, there's really nothing better than that.
It's so fun when you do a joke and then someone comes up and they're like, my husband does the same thing, or my kid did the same thing, and they're like, I never thought about it like that. That's so funny.
Well, I'll tell you, that's how this whole Cougar-Licious idea came about, was responses from the audience. I would just get up there and start talking about, being retired, dating, and all that good stuff, being single, and women were coming up to me saying, you're saying what I'm thinking. You're saying what I'm thinking. And I said, well, I think I have to do something with this,
Yes.
And so it just basically started to snowball and roll into that, and that's how the brand was born.
Yeah.
It was just through mutual sharing and enjoying your audience and having your audience enjoy what
right.
you do as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of the comedians on the ships and on land as well. And they encouraged me, A lot of guests would come up to me and say, hey, are you going to be in the comedy club later on? I go, no, I'm not a comedian. And so I thought, well,
What the heck you are?
I'll
What are you,
give
a
it a try.
comedian? Well,
I'm surprised
actually,
the cruise ships weren't like, hey, free opener.
I know. It was, I did a couple of guest sets on the ship.
Yeah.
And it was doing a disservice to myself because they had already seen me do a solo show.
Right.
And when I would do a guest set in the comedy club, I'd already endeared myself to them. And so they were very receptive of me doing comedy. And I thought, I need to do comedy on land in front of people that
on
have never
land,
seen me.
not on sea, on
That's right.
land.
Never
Get off
seen
the water.
me, don't know anything about me at all. And so I started hitting the mics, Yeah.
And that's a great learning experience.
It
Is
is.
when you
Yes.
start hitting the mics and you get your dose of reality.
Yeah,
you know?
well, you have to have patience, because depending upon the open mic, you may get a guy in his frat that want him to go up and they're only there for him, and you're a middle-aged woman with children. I have no cares about what you're talking about. So you're like, can you relate? And they're like,
No, you can't. Yeah,
It's like, oh man.
try being retired and relating with no kids and not being married. That's a whole different thing. But I have to honestly ask you. Wow, look at the time. We are just moving. This is going by so quickly, too quickly. When you were young, and I really think, and I don't know, because J-Dab, you don't seem to be this type, but maybe Jennifer, when you were young, did you get in trouble in school a lot? Did somebody were you like outspoken? Were you?
No,
no?
not until high school.
Okay.
Well,
Well, that's usually the age,
when I was younger, when I first came to Vegas, I was starting middle school, and I was very shy, and I was in the orchestra. I was a nerd. Like, I collected comic books. I'm still a nerd. Like, I don't have a China hutch. I have a hutch full of Wonder Woman figurines. It's really grown up and mature at my house. And made a couple of friends, and a couple of those friends were real mouthy, and so I kind of started to find my voice of what I could not get away with. And then I started kind of just doing one-liners and bits at home with my mom and with my brothers. And growing up with all siblings, and I was next to the youngest, I had 3 other siblings that would give me all kinds of material from picking on me, and the back and forth. I mean, I had a brother.
Yeah.
My favorite story was I had a brother who failed a history test because he didn't study for it, and it was about the Cold War. And they said, what was the Cold War? And he said the Cold War was a war where the ground was so cold they couldn't dig to bury their dead, so they piled them up and burned them. This is what he put on a history test. He got a 40% for creativity, and she hung it on the wall. And after that day, I was like, oh, you can just say anything and be crazy, and people will still be fine.
Excellent. Excellent.
And so growing up with siblings, really, that's where I found my voice.
Yes.
And then when I got into high school, I was friends with someone who was really shy, so I felt this overwhelming obligation to be more outgoing than I normally was. And I was a maniac when I was younger. When I found my voice, when I first I had an opinion about everything, and I wasted so much time arguing with people who were never going to change their opinion. And it took the years of wisdom of knowing not everyone's going to agree with you, and just because they're wrong to you doesn't mean they're wrong at all.
That's right.
You might be wrong, but and then as I got older, it just started coming out as more of quick wit, and we would be in conversations, and I would just make an offhand comment, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh. And from there I was like, oh, maybe I got something here. So I just started writing in notebooks, and I wrote short stories for a while and stuff like that.
Isn't that fun?
And then
because I used to do that too. When I was in grade school, I would go home, and for some reason, I'd sit down and I would write a play. And then I would go into the playground the next day, and I'd cast everybody. I went to a Catholic school, so the nuns let us perform. And I would just direct, produce, perform, and star, of course. So
yeah, exactly.
If I'm going to go through all this, I'm going to be the
director of the star. Thank you.
But there's always that little kind of creative kernel.
Yep.
And what about you? I mean, JW, you seem to be so polite and quiet and reserved. I mean, how did it come out?
It was my ace in the hole throughout my whole, school, time. And I'll just put it like this: during school time, from kindergarten to 12th grade, when I graduated high school, I was expelled 3 times for 3 days.
No,
because
I can't imagine that.
Because and that was it. It was I didn't look like it, but there was something inside me that just made me do kind of crazy things sometimes. So,
wow. I would have never pictured you ever to be expelled. I picture you just being the class A student, doing everything precise and right and polite,
When the counselors was like, really?
Was it Flip Wilson? He had that line, the devil made me do it.
Yeah, the devil made me do it.
The devil made me do it. Yeah, that was just great. That was incredible.
Yep.
Do you guys have any questions for me? Do you have any?
Well, I'm very curious. One, about the skincare product that you use, because you have awesome skin, and
thank you.
I want to take care of it. And 2, I'm curious, at what point in marketing, because I realized long before I became a comedian, hey, I do have something here that other people don't have. At what point when you were in marketing and advertising did you realize, oh, I have a comedic edge over other people?
Well, it was probably during that time, because any type of advertising that I would be involved with, or any team that I was working on a campaign with, we always kind of leaned towards the humor part of it, because there's a couple of things that will always sell. Sex will always sell, babies will always sell, things like animals will always sell. But if you do it in a humorous way, it's much more engaging, and that's the key. To really any successful presentation is to have something that's engaging and and interesting and fun.
Yeah.
People will have a tendency to kind of let their hair down a little bit more. So, and I would go to comedy clubs. I would go to comedy clubs in San Diego. I mean, we didn't have many. We had the Comedy Store, we had the Improv,
Just the improv and the comedy store.
Just the improv and the comedy store.
Nothing.
But I would go as many times as I could, and I would sit there and I would watch the comics on stage and know that, you know, what they were doing was a huge challenge. I thought to myself, now that would be difficult, you know. I mean, when you get up there, because it's only you and the mic,
right?
So it's not like a performance-based situation where you're doing a character. So that always intrigued me. That kind of challenge intrigued me, and and then just putting it all together just seemed like the next step, you know, that I should. And getting back to the skincare.
Yeah.
Linder Health. It's linderhealth.com. Yes. That's our sponsor for today. Actually, for several of our shows. They're a great company. They formulate their products and they're in a very simple format. I mean, there's only, you know, like 3-4 basic pieces to the skincare line, but it's all, you know, scientifically formulated. And I've always found, I have to honestly say, I've always found skincare to be something that I started way back in my 20s. I always had some kind of skincare line because, you know, you're going to get old, you're going to get older, but it's
not going to get easier.
That's right. You know, and I was just trying to prevent the facelift, you know, and that was my goal, you know, and that's what I did. Also, I think one of the things is, and one of my secrets is, anytime I would run into a situation where I had to make a decision or a choice, my decision was always based on whether or not it would give me a wrinkle. I said, is this going to cause a wrinkle? And if it was, I wouldn't do it. So I avoided a lot of stress and kept good skincare. And Linder Health, I think, is just one of the best that I've seen.
My husband and I mean, we grew up in a generation where they send you out to get your first summer burn to, like, so that you tan for the rest of the summer, and they would slather you in baby oil. Like, that was just a different generation. And so now we're trying to get into skincare, and my poor husband, he's totally new to it, and we're trying to figure out products. And I have all these different products over the years that I've used that he's trying them, and I find him in there. He's got like 5 different creams on his face. I was like, what are you trying to accomplish right now? He's like, I just want to make it smoother and nicer. And I'm like,
oh no, you've got to try Linder Health. And by the way, if you use the code Donna on your order, then you will get a special gift. This is what Linder Health is offering as well. So
I'll have to get, especially for him to try.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it looks like we are running out of time.
Oh no!
Already. Can you believe this?
I knew it was going to be one where we would just get going, and I just knew, especially considering working on that female lineup that we did together. We hit it off so well.
That's right. We were on
the Ladies of Vegas.
The Ladies of Vegas.
Lineup.
Yes. Laugh Las Vegas with that. We were at the at the Rainmaker Studios.
Yes, Rainmaker.
Yes. Yeah. And we did that show.
Yeah, it was fun. I loved it because Vegas is its own unique comedy scene, and to be able to represent women in comedy in any format, I just absolutely loved that concept. And I feel like I did okay.
I think you did great.
It was my first time of, like, being on a camera and dealing with green screen, and so I was like, okay, just tell me what to do. And after I did it, I was like, I was so nervous. I can't believe I made it through. And that's the one thing comedy's taught me, is how to get past nerves and be able to still talk and present and feel like you can handle yourself and
finding your voice. Don't you right?
Yes.
Don't you agree with that?
Your comedy voice, you have to find it. It takes a while. It takes a long time.
Right. Yeah, because when you get up on stage, you want the audience to say, "Hey, I know
you.
I know you."
That's right.
You know, and and then you have to deliver.
That's so true.
Well, Jennifer, before we go, I want to present to you our special refrigerator magnet for our Cougar-Licious, a woman who stands in her own power, celebrates the divine diva, and enjoys a little eye candy. So this is your little
Thank you.
gift from me to you.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
Possible. I even have a fridge. No, I'm kidding.
So I think that's about it for now. So listen, everybody out there, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Keep our subscribers coming on. We're just doing great with this show, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Cougar-Licious Cub House.
Cougar-Licious.